Okay, I'm in the book of Isaiah. Basically, Isaiah is the first book in the Bible of a prophet with prophecies. The thing is with the book of prophecies, in one verse they could be talking about something, in the next verse they could talk about something totally different. Now, Isaiah was a prophet during the times of King Jotham of Judah up through King Hezekiah of Judah. And basically there was like one or two more kings after Hezekiah before Judah was conquered by Babylon. The theme of this book is a book of judgments and redemption. So instead of trying to go through this book chapter by chapter through the whole book, it would take forever and it would be hard to follow, especially putting it on video. So what I did is I'm going to give you two tops from the book. The tops of judgments and the tops of redemption. I went through the book 2 or 3 times and took notes of going through it. And just put the two together, so this way it'll be easy to follow and you'll get a good grasp on what's going on in the book of Isaiah and the words that are coming out of his mouth, as well as what the future holds. But the thing is, no one knows really what the future holds or how things are going to fall when it comes to Bible prophecy. We only have a limit of knowledge and of thinking as a man, for God is higher than us and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and his plans are higher than what we can even comprehend. So if people say it's going to happen this way and that way, they really don't know. They're just going by faith and what they think is going to happen in their own understanding. So, alright, the book of Isaiah, we'll do part 1, and this will be the judgments. In chapter 1, the Lord reasons with Israel. He brought them up, he nourished them, and they rebelled against him. So he reasons with them. Now chapter 3 verse 4 says, "And I'll give children to be their princes, and babes to rule over them." And that's basically, they had children being their kings at age 12. There's another one that was younger than that. And then it says, "For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke him the eyes of his glory. To show their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves." And it makes me kind of wonder, there's something bigger going on in Sodom and Gomorrah rather than just sodomy and people's thoughts of homosexuality. I think there was something more than that for him to utterly destroy it. And that's my opinion. In verse 25 it says, "The men shall fall by the sword, and the mighty in war, and her gates shall be lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground." And that's talking about the Babylonian captivity for Jerusalem. Let's see here. Let me go here now to chapter 5 is the parable of the vineyard. Israel being the vineyard of God, and he lifts up the hedges so they can be taken by Babylon. 26 says, "Now lift up and sign to the nations from afar, and it will hiss unto them from the end of the earth. And behold, they shall come up with speed swiftly. Their roaring shall be like a lion, and their roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver it." Again, that's talking about the Babylonian captivity, where Judah is taken. And this is also talking about Babylon. It says, Therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong many, even the king of Assyria and all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channels and go over his banks, and he shall pass through Judah, and he shall overflow and go over, and he shall reach even the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. So that's talking about, let's see here. This is talking about the king of Assyria taking Israel, but Jerusalem escaped from that. Okay, it's chapter 8. I'll go to chapter 10, verse 5 and 6. Okay, now this is Assyria against Ephraim, which is Israel, part of Israel. O Assyria, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. I will send him against an hypocrite nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take spoil, and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire in the streets. So that is about Assyria taking Israel. Okay, chapter 13. I'm skipping through and just giving you the judgments. Okay, chapter 13. 3, 4, and 5. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones from mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as a great people, a tumultuous noise in the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come to pass a destruction from the Almighty. So this is against Babylon. And basically what happened to Babylon is Persia rose up, and they became the big daddy of the Middle East and ruled a big chunk of the world. It says, Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So he stirs up Persia to take over Babylon. Now, chapter 14, verse 12 is about the fall of Babylon also, but they compare them to Satan. He says, How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? And that is talking about bringing the Babylonians down. And the thing is, with their land, when they was brought down, it was desolate. No one built there ever since. I can't remember where that's at, but I'll have to look that up. This is against Assyria. It says that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. So that was against Assyria, which the Babylonians overtook Assyria, the Syrians. Then there's prophecies against the Philistines, which is Palestine. Stuff will happen to them if it hasn't already. I believe the Syrians had took over them, and then in the end, which is the end time, they will serve the Lord. There's prophecies against Moab, and the Syrians, like I say, ruled over Moab during their rule. Okay, let's see. 19. There's more against Syria and Israel, against Ethiopia. But like I say, in the end, the Ethiopians will rejoice in the Lord. There's prophecies against Egypt. And it says, And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, and city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Now, if you think about that, a lot of that stuff's been going on in Egypt and still going on. But in the end, he will heal them. Because he says, he'll smite them and he'll heal it. So they will be healed and they will do reverence to God when he comes back to the earth. Chapter 21, verse 9, this is against Babylon. And behold, here cometh a chariot of men with a couple of horsemen. And he answered and said, Babylon is fallen, and all the graven images of her gods he hath broken down unto the ground. So Babylon goes down by Persia, of course. Then there's prophecies against Edom, against Arabia, and then, of course, Jerusalem. Verse 17, it says, And it shall come to pass that thy choicest valley shall be full of chariots, and the horsemen shall set themselves array at the gate. Behold, the Lord will carry away with a mighty captivity, and will surely cover thee. So they were going to be carried away captive. Chapter 23 is about Tyre. Babylon overtakes them, but later on in life, Alexander the Great destroys a lot of their cities also. Chapter 24, verse 6 is about a future thing. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate, and therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. So there's something going to happen in our future. In our near future, something's going to happen. Chapter 29, verse 3 is against Jerusalem. Verse 3, 29, verse 3. This is against Jerusalem. And I will camp against thee round about, and will lay siege against thee with the mount. I will raise forts against thee. And then verse 13 says, Wherefore the Lord said, Forasmuch as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their hearts far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precepts of men. That's a deep verse there. It cuts, really, because we only have a limitation of thinking when it comes to God and His glory, because we're taught by the precepts of men. Our fear towards God is nowhere near as we need to be fearing Him. We honor Him, but we don't fear Him. You know, we serve Him, but we don't serve Him with our whole heart. And I think that's a big thing in the earth today that's going on. And that's why I say, by the precepts of man, you know, we can't comprehend but so much of what's going to happen in the future when it comes to prophecy. You know, we have our ideas, we have this and that, you know, and God lets us see things when He wants us to see things. But the main thing is not really worrying about what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what order it's going to happen, but rather that God's in control of everything, and for us just to seek Him and lean towards Him. Chapter 33, verse 1 is about Assyria. It says, Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, that dealest treacherously, and that they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, then thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. So that's against the Assyrians. 34, this is the future thing. It says, And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, as the falling fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven, behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse of judgment. See, there's another one. God's going to come down from heaven. The heavens are going to roll back as a scroll. The sky's going to split open. And in chapter 36 is the taunts from Assyria, which happened during, the reign of Hezekiah, and he got sick and all that, and the Syrians was telling them not to trust in their God and not listen to Hezekiah because there ain't no other nation been able to escape from them and all that. And Jerusalem escaped from them because there was a war and a lot of them died, and then someone killed the king, and they got out of them. But then Babylon came up, and then they ruled. 37 verse 10, because he's telling him, "Thus shall ye speak to Hezekiah king of Judah, saying, Let not thy God in whom thou trustest deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, thou hast heard what the king of Assyria hath done to all the lands by destroying them utterly, and thou shalt be delivered." So they taunted them. They scared them. And then, where am I at here? Yeah. And then it talks about them being, okay. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote in the camp of the Syrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So the king of Assyria departed, went and dwelt in Nineveh. He was worshipping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adramelech and Sherazar, his son, smote him with a sword, and they escaped to the land of Armenia, and Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. So God smote the Assyrians. And then the Babylonians rose up. So it's nations rise, nations fall. God raises them up for a purpose. And people talk about America, it's founded on biblical principles and all this. God made America, God rose up America and all this. He raises up all the nations. He rose up North Korea, he rose up China, he rose up Russia, he rose up Africa, Mexico. He raises nations for a purpose, a higher purpose that we could comprehend. People's all mad at North Korea and the new guy that's leading and stuff about the nuclear weapons and stuff, but people hate the president here, and people, and all this. God makes leaders for a reason, and people are in leadership for a reason and for his purpose. And if we're hating the leaders of the world and this and that, then we're hating God's purpose, basically. Whether we agree with them, disagree with them, but it's still God's purpose and his plan. We're hating his plan if we're hating the leaders that he puts before us. Chapter 39 verse 7 talks about the captivity. Basically what happened was Hezekiah showed the king of Babylon all the treasures of his house and the house of God. And then Isaiah heard of it, and they told him it was foolishness, and he told him, Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house and that which thy fathers have laid up in store until this day shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left. And basically, Hezekiah taught him, good is the word of the Lord which I have spoken. But, for there shall be peace and truth in my days. So basically, he was promised by God that he wouldn't go captive, that he'll see peace because he feared God and prayed that after him, that they'll be taken captive to Babylon. And that's what happened. He died and went to Babylon, and then he went to Babylon and got carried away captive. Let's see, chapter 59. 1 and 2. This says, Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ear is heavy, that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. So that's basically God's attitude towards Israel now, because they've rejected him. They didn't want to be judged by judges and priests. They wanted a king to be like the other nations. So all this time they bickered back and forth. They'd turn to him, they'd fall from him. They'd turn to him, they'd fall from him. So now they went too far, and he turned his face from them and allowed them to be carried away captive. But he didn't forget them. And then chapter 63, verse 3 through 6 says, I have trodden the